Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kisha. You can find out so much more about me in the down bar with all the links to my social media. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please get subscribed before you leave and you won't miss any new videos that way. I thought today that I would sit here and talk to you guys about something that I've been asked about quite a bit, and that's rejoining the workforce. So right now AJ is laying down. It's the weekend. I'm recording this for the upcoming week. I got a cup of tea here, and I would suggest grabbing some tea, some coffee, some water, and enjoying this video with me, especially if you're thinking about going back to work. So I didn't do a lot of research for this video. I simply have lived the experiences. I feel like I've had a bunch of little lifetimes in my one life, many chapters. I worked when I was somewhere around 16 till I graduated college and met Brittany's and Jackson's father. I stayed home with my children from that point on, and then when we divorced, I went back to work, and then I worked with Scott, my last husband who passed away, and then after I worked with him for a while, I stayed home and took care of our family. So I've been in and out of the workforce, and this last time when Scott passed away, really before that, when we split up, I was definitely worried. I was worried about my own ability to go back to work, to adjust, to survive, to thrive after so much time out of the workforce. But you really will be amazed at how things really do fall into place. So I'm going to tell you some things that worked for me and kind of share with you how I got through it. And like I said, there could be many reasons you're wanting to go back to work. And maybe you're wanting to go back to work part-time versus full-time. And those things are things you got to figure out before you start looking for jobs. One thing I would say is if you've been out of work for a while and you don't have a whole lot of different skills, one thing that I thought was very helpful was serving. I really did. I really do believe that is a great stepping stone, because many of us who have stayed home for whatever reasons, we get used to our own little bubble, our safety zone, and stepping out of the safety zone is hard. So a lot of us don't have great communication skills when we're first going back into the workforce, and they're important. And I think going into a restaurant service kind of job at first will not only get you back into a schedule, but it will put you out there with the public, and it will bring you out of that bubble, and it will boost your confidence. It really will. So I would say, long before you really figure out what you want to do, because I do actually have some family who make a living just serving, and it is possible. It's very hard work though, but I feel like it gives you so many different skills. I feel like it gives you leadership, and I feel like it gives you more time with people so you can readjust, and I feel like it just gives you more of a group of friends that maybe you need. And in serving, it's very personable. You're up talking to people, and you don't also have to have a big wardrobe to serve. A lot of times it's jeans and a t-shirt or whatever they're providing. So I find that if you're new to going back to work, it's a great opportunity. Any restaurant that you like or that you're at a lot and that you see is busy, which is important, it's a great way to jump back into the workforce. From there, what I believe is working on skills. What skills do you have? Anything from your past career that you need to rebrush up on, classes that you can take to make you better, because things change over time, and depending on how long you've been out of it, you really might need some refreshers. Like my college offers like refresher courses in paralegal studies for me, because that's one of my degrees, forever. So if you were going back into that, say if I wanted to go back and be a paralegal, it would be very beneficial for me to go take some of those refreshers. So if you are somebody who did get, educated in a certain field that you're going to go back to, refresh up on that, even while you're serving. And then definitely start working on your resume. A resume is important. It matters what's on it, matters how it's written. There are professionals that can do it for you. There are great templates. I can put a few below in the down box. I can't remember which one I used. Laura and I both bought one off Etsy, and yes, Etsy sells resume templates. Had a place for the picture, so Laura, had a picture of her, and on my resume, I had a picture of me, and it was just such a beautiful resume. You don't need a 5-page resume, just putting your CV all down. I mean, especially if you've been out of the workforce, you're probably going to feel compelled to explain why there is such a big gap in your employment history, and that's fine. The best thing you can do is explain it. Explain what you've been doing. Explain that you have taken refresher courses. Explain that you're still knowledgeable in that area and you're very enthusiastic in working in that area. So what I find important in between like serving and finding the job that you really want is the time in between being used in a very productive way. That is researching like Career Builder and Monster and Indeed, lots of different online jobs, and trying to figure out where you want to go. Are you in the medical field? Are you in the legal field? Are you like an administrative assistant? Are you like a vet tech? What field are you in? And you start looking for those jobs. And it can be pretty daunting. Trust me, it really can. Word of mouth is huge. Word of mouth is how I got the current job that I'm at, that I'm very happy at. It was networking and finding out that this place had a position available. And once I went in and interviewed, it felt like a very good fit. So, of course, I took it. It is important not to give up. It really is. Things will fall into place the more you try. They really will. And you don't have to shoot for the moon. You can definitely, in that window, like I was talking about, hone in on exactly the kind of job that you really want versus the kind of job that you might have or you think you will get. I think it's important to focus on the big picture. Like, are you going to get good benefits? Are your kids going to be able to have insurance? Are you going to be able to have sick days, vacation days? Is your boss going to be lenient if you have children and you have to take off? Because things happen. All those things matter. And I also think during that window of searching for that job, once you realize what job you're able to get and what job area you're going to go into, that might not be the right way I want to say that. Once you realize the area, basically, it's time to start thinking about your wardrobe. If I was going back into like paralegal into a law office, my wardrobe would be a lot different. But in that little window, or even before you say you don't do serving and you just go straight into whatever you want to do, you need to give yourself enough time to make sure you can build up at least a decent wardrobe that you can wear to work. They get classic pieces that can be mixed and matched. There we go. And pieces that are affordable, and the same goes with high heels and work shoes. And maybe you're somebody who is going to be working outside for whatever reason. You need proper clothing. So I think having an idea of which direction you're going will help you determine how much you really need to put towards your wardrobe. And if you are just looking for work, I understand that it can be expensive. Search thrift stores, search the Goodwill. I found so many good pieces at the Goodwill. Just really take the time to figure out which direction you're going in. And then it all comes down to organization. So once you get the job, once you are in a place that you like and enjoy, it's time to start managing time. And that's the hardest thing about going back to work. It really is. It's truly the hardest thing. Making, arrangements for childcare, that is huge. So you have little kids, you need to talk to family, friends, find daycare, find a reliable source of, how I would say, like village people that can help care for your child. Maybe even if they're sick, if you're not able to take off, like in that probationary period. So getting your village together to help you not only with yourself but with your child, that's so important. Making time to menu plan, which is something I fail at miserably because it's mostly just AJ and I. So making something in the crock pot, it's a lot of food for us, So making time to menu plan, I know is important. I'm going to implement more in my life in the coming months, but trying to figure that out so you're not rushing right in the door and not having anything to eat, that can be extremely stressful. I think also managing your time well enough where you still have time with your children. It's so important. Your job is very important, obviously. Like mine takes care of all my bills. It's important. But when I come through those doors at my daycare, I have to turn that off, or turn off any drama that I might be having with family, friends, and focus on my little boy. And it's just so important to me that I take the time to do that. And I think it's important to you guys as well. And so maybe you don't get every single thing done or checked off your to-do list, but you make time for the most important people in your life. That's my teenagers, my child, Laura, Abby. People that matter, you need to still make time for. It's so important. I also find that it's important to start working on that budget. So just like when I went back to work for a reason. It was to support myself and my children. That means I can't just go nuts buying every single thing that I want. There is a very big difference between needs and wants. And this isn't a budgeting video, but it's huge. And so, I know it feels really good to go back to work and maybe get your first full-time paycheck. I know how good that feels. I do. But the idea is not to go back to work so you just have to work. The idea is to start saving and building and trying to set yourself up in a way that you're not stressed out, but you're still bringing in income and you're still providing for your family. So again, it's all about balance. And there are times when I'm on Amazon and I want to get more than what I can, but it's important to really not blow every single penny from your new job. And that can go for a teenager all the way up to someone my age or older. It's easy to do, so it's important to watch your money. I also think it's important to make sure you're taking time for yourself in the mornings before you go to work. Like, I could just do a whole video on this alone. I'm not somebody who works out. I'm never going to work out. It's not who I am. But I do like stretching. I do like yoga. I do have neck and back problems. I do like that massager I use. So making time before I have to get ready to stretch and make myself feel better is part of my morning routine. And once you really get into routines, your morning routine and your evening routine are going to become the biggest routines that you have if you're working. I mean, obviously, if you're working third shift somewhere, your routines are going to be a little different. But I'm just talking day shift right now. So, making time to take care of yourself, something I have been struggling with, but doing better with, a lot better with, actually. So then you have to think about the people that you work with. So let's say you work with a whole new group of people and your boss is younger than you. you have to make peace with that kind of thing in the workforce, especially if you haven't been to work in a while. So, oddly enough, one of my bosses at my job is a 28-year-old male who is much younger than me. But he's amazing, and he knows about his company much more than I do. And it doesn't bother me that he is younger and in charge, basically. But for some people, that can be a little place of tension. So make peace with the idea that you're going to meet a lot of new people in your job, and you're going to have bosses that might be younger, that might have more experience. It's okay. What you're supposed to do in those situations, I have found, is learn from them. So absorb as much as you can. I've never worked at a cabinet company in my life. Never. Until a year and a half ago. So I think it's important just to be a sponge at whatever job you're at, especially if you haven't been into the workforce for a minute. There's so much to learn. There's so much new happening. And there's so many things that have changed. And, you know, it was crazy for me as well. But once you get into it, I promise you will be so happy with the new friendships that you make and the connections and all the learning that you will be doing. So I just think it's important when you are out and about and you're looking for a new job to do it in steps. You don't have to get everything together all at once. You don't have to have your shit together that much. But baby steps. I still believe something like serving or just being with the public is a great way to start breaking yourself out of your little safety zone and moving out into the public again. So it's just something that I felt really worked well with me, and you get cash right that day. So it's a great way to kind of re-enter the workforce. But for me, it was nothing I could do long term. And some of the serving jobs, such as Cracker Barrel, caused me to have massive problems with my neck. Massive. The trays were too heavy, and I had to get out of it. But I don't regret it for a second. I don't regret any of the places that I've worked. I've learned something new from every single place, and I keep learning new stuff at the place I'm at now. I also think talking to your family and your friends about what you want to do is so important. Like Laura, for example, my daughter, I want to say my stepdaughter, she's more like a best friend, but Laura was going back to school for nursing. She couldn't even get through one of the vet shows that I like Dr. Pole or what was it? It's Miami Behind Zoo or Behind the Scenes at the Zoo or whatever. She couldn't even get through one of those shows without cringing. So we sat down, her and I, and we re-examined really what the hell she's doing wanting to go to nursing school. I think she just thought that it would be a great income, that she'd be able to support herself and her children, not have a lot of the financial burdens anymore. And honest to God, it was a huge mistake, and I'm so glad she didn't start paying or taking out more loans to go back to school. Instead, she is in beauty school. She actually cut my hair yesterday. But it's her passion, and she comes alive when she's doing it. So, you know, you have to reinvent yourself sometimes. Maybe what you thought you wanted to do when you're 20 isn't what you want to do when you're 40. So take all of that into consideration and talk to your family, your friends, your support group about where you want to be and what their advice is to you. Like, you know, I know it's scary and it's very, debilitating thinking about, I've been at home for years, I'm going to go back to work, what am I going to do? I know it's scary, I know it is. It petrified me. I feel like if I just would have went and got a part-time job when I was married to Scott, I wouldn't have felt near as trapped as I did. And I felt like the people telling me to go back to work were just telling me because they had to work every day. I didn't feel like they were telling me that kind of stuff because they thought it would really do me well. I felt like they just were bitter. And I still feel like that with them. But if I just would have forced myself, I feel like it would have made me a happier person. I feel more content now being on my own and paying my own bills than I have in any of my relationships. Any. With Art and the kids, I obviously felt trapped, that I couldn't leave, that I wouldn't have a steady income. Eventually I felt that way with Scott. And when I was on bed rest and then I had AJ, I pretty much felt trapped with Ryan. Like, you're trapped with these people. Maybe you want out of a marriage. Maybe you want, to do things on your own. But here you are, you're not working, you're depending on him or whomever to help you. And it is paralyzing, and it took so much from me. It took so much of my happiness when all I had to do was step out of my comfort zone and try something, anything. Serving would have been great during my time with Scott or Art. It just would have been. Now, I was a little more upset about this time with AJ because I didn't want to leave him. Ryan and I were having problems, and ultimately I hated Ryan for the first, 90 days of my job where I'm at now, because he couldn't get it done. He couldn't take care of us. He didn't want to. He wasn't dependable. It was very, very difficult being trapped. And so I felt like it was his money. He got to make the decisions on what was paid, when it was paid, how it was paid, and I hated that. And if we were late on a bill, it would be my fault or whoever else's fault, and we wouldn't really have say-so in how it would get taken care of. So that was the way it was with, at least two of my relationships. So I felt trapped so bad. But now I don't feel trapped. I still have a little bit of tongue twisted today. I'm very tired today, by the way. And it's snowing right now, barely, but it is. And I've been kind of sick. Like, I feel like AJ just keeps bringing stuff home from daycare. But I still have a little bit of worry because I don't have the emergency fund set up the way I want it. And I do have this feeling that if something was to happen with my job in any regard, I got hurt, I lost my job, they closed, which I don't think would happen, but, I would still be scared, but not to the point where I'm going to be paralyzed. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go find another job if that's what I have to do. But I would say the number one thing is feeling free. It's just feeling free. And it's done so much to my self-esteem. It's made me proud. It's made me happy and confident. And I believe if you have been or currently in that kind of position where you depend on somebody, you understand what I'm saying. Because it can be quite scary. But it's not near as scary now. I mean, sure, I have concerns of, but I have safety plans kind of there, or safety nets, such as if I get sick, I have Affleck, I have health insurance. If I was to lose my job, hopefully I would have unemployment for a minute until I could find something else. I have the ability to get to work, and that's something else I needed to mention. Getting to work every day is important. It's important for everybody who has a job to be there at what time they're supposed to be there. So making sure that you have reliable transportation is huge. If you're in a big city, you have public transportation. If you need to Uber or carpool or walk, it doesn't matter. Just find a way, and make sure that way is dependable, the best it can be. Because, you know, you don't want to stress every single day if you're going to make it to work or not. You have to remove some of the stresses because, you know, obviously going back to work is stressful enough. So you got to remove some of those things. And making sure you have reliable transportation, and making sure you have the clothes that you need, making sure that your kids are set up for the day with school, with their book bags. It's all down to routines, like I said. I think the number one thing to remember when you're out job hunting, when you do find that job, when you are walking out that door and kissing your kids goodbye, is being confident in your decisions. Making sure where you're going for the day is worth it. Are you being paid what you deserve? Are you being respected? Are people listening to you? Are your opinions mattering? Are you able to do your job as required? Do you have what you need? Like, all of those things play a huge part in making sure that you're happy at work every day. And so for me personally, knowing that my son's in an amazing daycare that he loves definitely takes the weight off my shoulders. Making sure that my tires on my car are good so I don't worry about blowing one out on my way to work is huge. Making sure that I am budgeting well so we have enough to get through, and that we're saving what we can and we're paying our bills on time. That is huge. Making sure that I am connecting with my family and my friends and my children, and taking a little bit of time that I have left over and making sure that they know how I feel and that I love them and that I'm grateful that they're in my life, and spending time with AJ and building bonds with my teenagers. All of that is huge. For me, making sure on Sunday that my car is gassed up and that I have plenty to get to work for the week, or at least most of the week, is very important. The routines for me have made a huge difference, but really what made a difference is just getting out there and doing it. Not sitting at home waiting for somebody to knock on the door and say, "We have a job for you." It's not how it works. You have to make an effort. You need to send those resumes. You need to add your cover letters. You need to send your thank you notes. I heard Dr. Phil one time say to a husband who needed to go to work, who basically liked video games a lot and was not motivated. He said, when you're not working, your full-time job is looking for a job. So if you or somebody in your life is at that point where they have to get up off their ass and find a job, then it should be everything for them. They should be looking online, and I know there's a lot of older people who don't know that much about computers. You can take some very simple courses at your public library for free. Very, very simple. You can do so much to prepare for a new job. And I don't know if this is exactly the kind of video you guys wanted, but these are some of my tips on getting back into the workforce. I wasn't sure which direction this video would go in. Like, if you want more specifics, like job searching and how to find a great job, or how to build your resume, I can make a separate video on that. If you're wanting more about time management and making your time count in the best ways possible, I can do a video on that, at least what works for me. If you're looking for just inspiration on getting back to work and different avenues you can take, I'll make a video on that. But I tried to encompass all of it within this video, just touch on it little by little. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please take a second, leave your comments below, and let other people know what has worked for you. If you have, like, rejoined the workforce, we all learn from each other, and I'm so grateful for all of your comments. Definitely give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Get subscribed if you're new to this channel. Don't forget to do that. Hit the notification bell, and they'll tell you when I put up new videos. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. I really hope you are getting something from this video. I love my job. It is a great job for me. It works well with my family, and I am so blessed for it. So I definitely can talk more about that. Just let me know what you want to see, and I will. Bye.